In 2024, forget everything you thought you knew. Hola, beautiful souls. Welcome back or welcome to my channel, where we aim to use astrology, spirituality, and wellness as self-development tools to become our highest selves every day. If that sounds like something you're interested in, be sure to hit subscribe before you finish the video and follow me on Instagram for more personal updates on my life. I know you felt it too. We have all felt it. This exciting, undeniable, yet sometimes scary, nerve-wracking shift in the energy of our lives. The primary reason this shift is being felt so heavily on a collective level is because Pluto is going to officially enter Aquarius on January 21st, 2024. It's also going to be entering Aquarius right when the sun enters Aquarius and brings us into Aquarius season. So it's going to feel 10 times more impactful right at the beginning of the start. We have probably already been feeling this energy since last year around mid 2023 because Pluto did dabble with Aquarius a little bit because it went retrograde before it continued direct in Capricorn. But this year it is officially staying in Aquarius for majority of the time until it goes retrograde a few times throughout its transition. But essentially this movement through Aquarius is going to last until about 2043. So we have a while with Pluto in Aquarius. Now, why the heck is this transition so important, and why is everybody in the astrology community talking about it? Let's get into that. For you to better understand why this is so impactful, I want you to understand something about the way astrology views the planets in our solar system. They are broken into two categories, the inner and the outer planets. And the outer planets tend to be the planets that are farther away from the sun. Therefore, their orbit takes months upon months and oftentimes years to complete one orbit. Pluto in particular takes over 200 years to complete an orbit. So what that means is that it stays within each zodiac constellation for years at a time. Pluto specifically stays in a constellation for approximately like 12 to 30-ish years before it moves into a new sign. So the reason this is significant is because the inner planets that have a faster orbit, because they move constellations so rapidly, they tend to have a more personal effect on people. Whereas the outer planets, because they stay in one place for years, they have a huge impact on generations of people. They have impacts on the collective. So therefore, they are correlated with a lot of historical, impactful events. They often carry significant historical influence over anything from various wars, fashion trends, revolutions, etc. Now, what does this mean for us exactly? Well, the last time Pluto was in Aquarius was from about 1778 to 1798. And in this time frame, just a few of the historical life-altering events that took place were the War of Independence, in which America freed itself from British rule, the French Revolution began, Uranus was discovered, which is the planet that is now the modern ruler of Aquarius itself, and the Age of Enlightenment picked up. When Pluto touches a sign, it brings with it some form of radical transformation and evolution. This transformation and evolution can appear to be totally staggering for your soul. With this transformative energy entering the rebellious sign of Aquarius, we will see certain structures, beliefs, traditions, and values get completely shaken and potentially destroyed, whether we like it or not. It's likely that we have already been feeling this shift in some way, again, like I said, since mid-2023 when Pluto dabbled into Aquarius a bit before going direct in Capricorn once again. Ultimately, we're going to see a massive shift and an uprooting in the way that we view certain values, beliefs, and traditions within our lives. And it's likely that we'll be called to challenge the status quo in some way. This could happen in many different forms for many different people, but ultimately we're going to be facing a collective reassessment of the way that we view certain parts of our lives and how we want to move forward from those parts of our lives. Is there some way that we've allowed ourselves to become very stagnant and just fall in line with what everyone else is doing rather than having the courage to move to the beat of our own drum? Aquarius always begs these questions when its energy comes around. And with Pluto, Pluto is giving that powerful iron fist ready to destroy everything for you, if you're not willing to destroy it yourself, to move forward as your highest authentic self. And at the exact moment that Pluto makes its transition into Aquarius, it will be forming a trine with the moon in Gemini. Trines are more harmonious energy, but it's placing a emphasis on the mental energy here. Aquarius and Gemini are both air signs, and air signs are connected to the mental activity and how we experience that mental activity. Aquarius already has us pondering new ways of life, new thoughts, new beliefs, etc. And when you bring a moon in Gemini into the mix, our emotions may heavily be affected by our thoughts. We may feel overwhelmed with our mental activity a bit if we aren't prepared for this. So I say get your journals ready so that way you can be ready to brain dump your thoughts and your emotions onto paper and get them out. What this can also do is help you better reassess what is going through your mind and how it is you want to move forward. There are probably things, by the time you're watching this video, there have probably already been things that have been breaking down around you that you can't explain and you don't know what to do about it. And instead of allowing yourself to become extremely overwhelmed, start to try and organize and perceive what you're witnessing happen in your own life by putting it down on paper. This way, everything doesn't just accumulate within with no place to channel itself. Use that energy productively. Ultimately, that's what we want to do when we look at these transits. We want to look at them so we can use the energy productively rather than negatively. Pluto will also be forming a sextile with Neptune in Pisces, and this is very significant for spiritual tradition. Aquarius is already one that challenges tradition, but when you bring Pisces energy and Neptune energy, which is the modern ruler of Pisces, when you bring that energy into the mix so strongly, we are looking at a huge reevaluation of our creativity and our connection to our spiritual self. And I find that creation and spirituality are directly intertwined. So these are both equally an important theme here. Seeing as Pluto was in the sign of Capricorn for years, we may have started to feel a little bit of a disconnect or a distance from our spiritual practices. I know I have. I kind of got in tune more with spiritual practices at one point, and then it fell off and productivity kind of took the stage. And the reason this can happen with Capricorn is because even though Capricorn is more about tradition, people may have been revisiting a lot of traditional spiritual beliefs. It also is more rigid and disciplined, so it may cause us not to emphasize our spiritual practices as much as Piscean energy might. So it's likely that with the Aquarius energy meeting the Piscean energy here, we will see ourselves being infused with newfound inspiration to get back in tune with our religious, spiritual, and creative practices, however that may look for us. Many might even reevaluate what spirituality means to them entirely, as Aquarius inspires us to change our perspectives and expand our minds to higher realms of thinking. I'm picking up a lot of crown and sacral chakra energy from this transition, getting back in tune with our internal body through spirituality, and in turn, using that to manifest and create new experiences that fit our personal evolution. Don't mind the sun deciding to peek through and show me a little love on my shoulder. So now let's talk about the collective impact of what we could see with this. We talked a little bit about the personal impact we might feel. Now let's talk about the collective impact. As a collective, it's likely that we will see many older structures begin to fail or suddenly plummet because they do not fit this new paradigm that has been forming, essentially holding on to the steadfast, rigid energy of Capricorn rather than embracing the winds of change as Aquarius breathes new life into the world. Those who are more willing to remain flexible and adjust to this new paradigm may see great expansion and success from this, though it may be extremely challenging initially. One of the most important aspects of this paradigm shift is from thinking individually to thinking collectively, thinking about the bigger picture and especially about humanity as a whole. But not just humanity, but reevaluating our relationships of all kinds, whether it's our relationship to humans, whether it's our relationships to nature, these will all matter and will take center stage during this transition and for years to come. Keep in mind here that Aquarius is the water bearer, so it's supposed to be the one that helps infuse and give life to everybody. So this symbolizes their tendency to have a more humanitarian outlook on life. This is why they tend to lead revolutions and be a bit more rebellious, because they're willing to challenge the status quo if it's for the betterment of humanity. But Aquarius also rules over the 11th house, which is the house of humanity and friendships, as well as ideals. Aquarius is also popularly associated with the idea of being either an alien or being a robot of some kind. And the reason for this is because their ideals on the world and their perspectives often tend to be a little odd or unique to other people, or they seem to be so wise and intelligent that the way that they see life, or the way that they perceive life, or the way that they act towards life doesn't seem to be human, or it seems to be otherworldly. Therefore, we may see, for one, shocking technological advances, and keep in mind that these collective shifts will take years upon years. So these are things that we'll see happen in the long run up to 2043 when Pluto changes signs again. So it's not like this is all going to happen right away, but we're already kind of seeing some things shift, and more than likely these shifts are things that will happen slowly but surely, and before we know it, things have changed. When it comes to technological advances, it may be a little bit slower, but what I'm feeling here when it comes to technology is that we've been using technology very individualistically. If anything, there's been a perceived separation of humanity, partially due to the way we're using technology. And not only a separation of humanity, but a separation of humanity from Mother Nature. And Aquarius essentially wants us to reevaluate the way that we're doing things. So what has become normal now may not seem normal 20 years from now, after we've gone through Pluto's move through Aquarius. And what I'm feeling here are more technological advances that benefit humanity's way of life, not in a selfish way, but more to create a more symbiotic, harmonious relationship between humanity and nature. Technology, just like anything, is a double-edged sword. We can use it to destroy, or we can use it to build. And I think that if we turn our focus as humans to making technological advances that create a more harmonious relationship between us and the earth, this is where we're going to see the greatest expansion. But if humanity does not pivot this way, then the Pluto in Aquarius energy is going to quickly destroy and pummel everything to the ground that is not working, until we're forced to reevaluate in a different way. Another thing that I see happening here collectively is a transition to community. We've already been seeing people turn their focus more towards living in harmony with Mother Earth again when it comes to owning their own land, having their own farms, having their own crops. I mean, the biggest example that has become widespread is Bill Gates buying an immense amount of farmland and raising questions as to why he's doing that. A lot of times, these entrepreneurs that go on to be extremely influential CEOs, they often have bigger picture thinking. I would argue that some of them possibly look into astrology as well to kind of give themselves an idea of the shifts that are going to be beneficial to them. But even if they're not, they tend to be forward thinkers that think on a higher scale and think of the bigger picture, which is why they're able to anticipate what people will need, what people will want, and profit crazy amounts of profit from that. With that being said, I think that this is a focus more so on not just working with Mother Earth again and bringing value back to what she provides and being sure that we nurture what she provides, but I think it's also a return to community. Again, because we've been living so individualistically, a lot of us have forgot the benefits of community, the benefits of having people there to have your back, people to trade things with, people to give gifts to, etc. Aquarius is very focused on the connection of community. I actually knew somebody who was an Aquarius who refused to use self-checkouts because she said that they're just another driving factor for the separation of human interaction. And if that's not Aquarius mentality, I don't know what is. That forever stuck with me because she's not wrong. You know, I'm guilty of using self-checkout, and I probably will continue to as a introvert, a true introvert. But she is not wrong. And it's things like this. This is one of the ways we've been using technology to potentially separate. And I definitely think we'll see that change throughout these next 20 years with Pluto moving through Aquarius. As everything on my channel, the goal with this reading was not to just provide you with a bunch of information and cause you fear or anxiety. It's to provide you with the awareness, which when we have the awareness of anything, we can use that as a tool. We now have the advantage and the power to change our course and be prepared for that. So my advice to you for this whole Pluto to Aquarius transition is to embrace you. The overall message here is to live more authentically without these social masks we've been putting on, the screens we've been hiding behind, the ways we've been distancing ourselves from Mother Nature. Reconnect with yourself in every sense of the word. Reconnect. That is the biggest thing here. Reconnect with self, reconnect with others, reconnect with nature. As long as you're starting to do those things, now I'm not saying that it's not going to feel like the Tower card in tarot a little bit, because it might, but this leads to beauty. The destruction of old structures that are no longer working always leads to the beautiful light that we couldn't see before because we might have been keeping ourselves chained and not realizing it until something against our will breaks the chains for us, allowing us to be free. So embrace this change and live authentically. Again, if you enjoyed this reading, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so that way you don't miss future astrology, spirituality, and self-development videos on my channel. But until I see you all in the next video, thank you so much again for being here. You can watch these videos here if you haven't already. They'll help you so much more on your astrological, spiritual, and self-development journey into your highest self. Thank you. See you next time. Adios.